Hello and welcome to Automate with Amit, and in this particular video where we are learning automation framework design using Selenium, Java, Cucumber and TestNG. And now in Cucumber, basically if you are learning Cucumber, then it is very important that you know what is feature files, what are different keywords which gets used, what is Gherkin language. So in this video we are going to talk all about this. And before we begin, if you haven't watched my previous video where I had covered what structure of the project we are going to follow, so in here if you see IRCTC automation, this was the framework or Maven project which I had created to automate IRCTC related scenarios, using which we can do Tatkal booking or something like that we can use it for. So we are going to do this. So this is going to be fun automation, maybe because it is going to help us in real time if you are starting to automate your train bookings eventually using Selenium. So here I had covered all those framework related, all the structure of the framework, and then eventually I had created this one feature file and step definitions over here. These two packages were empty. I haven't created any particular feature file or step definitions. So, and in the last video basically I described what is form.xml or what are different dependencies we are gonna use in order to work with Selenium, Java, Cucumber and of course TestNG. So if you haven't watched those videos, you can go and watch those videos. Okay, so what is feature files basically? So feature file is a simple .feature extension file where we write all our scenarios, so test scenarios in a simple plain English language. So right click new and file. So just you need to click on file and then eventually whatever file name you wanted to give, so maybe IRCTC login, then you need to make sure that you put feature as extension, so feature FEATURE. So okay, so IRCTC login.feature, so finish. So as soon as you finish, it generates by default this kind of file which has some text written over here. So what are these basically? So if you see this, it has generated by default two different things. So first is this section over here, and second one is this tag to till at the last. Okay, so now let's understand what is there in here. So first of all, this @ tag which you are seeing, this is to identify which particular type of test it is belonging to. Okay, so for example, if this particular feature file is going to have only scenarios related to login, then we can mention here as @login. Okay, so this feature is going to be related to login functionality. Now in feature, so this particular keyword over here, you see feature, so make sure you have the same way of writing any particular keyword. So F should be capital and rest of the things will be small, so and also colon. So after this feature keyword, basically we give the description of this whole file, so what different scenarios this particular feature file is going to have. So title of your feature, so something like I want to use this template for my feature file, so we can write something here saying that this feature file contains scenarios related to IRCTC login. Okay, and then in here inside the feature file, basically you will see there is another tag 1 and tag 2. So we can have tags on the scenarios. So one feature file can have multiple scenarios, and for creating any scenario we can create one scenario in two different ways. So first is over here, this one scenario over here you are seeing, and second type is scenario outline using scenario outline keyword. So what is difference between scenario and scenario outline? Basically, so scenario outline is used to just write single scenario. Okay, so like whatever words we have used, whatever sentences we have used, something like this. But if we wanted to use some parameterized steps, so here if you see, we haven't used any parameterized steps over here. Okay, so if we wanted to use, like I have over here, if you see, given I want to write a step with precondition, something like that, but I haven't used any variable basically. So if I wanted to use, let's suppose user logs in to IRCTC website using some username and password. Okay, so something like this. So if we wanted to give here, so in here when we are using scenario, basically we can use this scenario and password values in here itself, in the same line itself and nowhere else. Okay, so if we wanted to give, let's suppose, any username here, so and password maybe to log in to this particular website, so we can give the same values in here in double quotes directly. Okay, so maybe username is automate with Amit and password is just password, so we can use this way, we can write it in this way, password. Okay, so this is one way to write our scenario or steps. So over here these are called steps. Okay, so in here if you see this scenario, we give, after this scenario we give the title of the scenario, user logs in using username and password, something like that. Okay, or we can write verify that user is able to log in using username, or we can say correct username and password, something like that. Okay, so we can give, so this is the scenario title. Okay, so these keywords basically, if you see given and when then, so there are 5 different types of keywords. Okay, so given is the first one, then given and when, and then there are 2 others, and but. Okay, so basically if you see over here in given section, whenever we give some step here, so we just give we make sure that this given has some precondition steps. So user log into IRCTC website using automate with Amit and password, something like that. And this and keyword is just an extension to whatever is the previous one. So if given we are continuing with this and, so whenever you are writing, just make sure that how you are reading it, if it is correct, then it's all good. And just make sure that whatever we are writing steps over here, this given is having precondition and is going to have some follow-up precondition, and when is some actions basically. Okay, some key actions when I complete the action, and some, so and is just a follow-up, so and when I complete the action and some other action and yet another action, then. So with then basically we just follow the result, so whatever is the validation part is coming, and those things we put in the and in then. So and is basically again it's just a follow-up to the previous step. So and I then I validate the outcomes and check more outcomes, something like that. So in all, if you see, if you try to read this, then it is very easy to read, and this is what is called Gherkin language. Okay, so this is called as Gherkin language basically, in wherein we write all these scenario and steps in plain simple English. Okay, so this is where we call it as Gherkin language. And here these are the keywords, given and when then, and here this is the scenario. Now in scenario outline basically, if you see, we write again in scenario outline, after a scenario outline we just write the title of your scenario outline, and given when then is all same, just the difference is this examples. Okay, so this examples keyword basically we use to write the data which we wanted to use in here. Okay, so this way within anchor brackets, basically the first line over here which is here, we can say headers basically, which we can use in here. Below them we can put multiple data sets. Okay, so when we execute this particular scenario, so here in scenario outline, basically if I am going to execute this, then what will happen? So this particular step is going to take this value from the first row first. So I want to write a step with name 1, and when I check for value in a step, so this value is 5th is going to be at this place in a step. I verify the success in this step. Okay, so this is going to be first step to execute this. In second step, basically it is going to get the second row's value. Okay, so that's how it executes. So in first iteration, basically it executes this line of data in place of all these values over here. So in place of name, this is going to be name 1. In place of value, it is going to be 5. In place of status, it is going to have success. Okay, and in the second iteration where it is going to execute again, so in second iteration this name is going to be name 2, this value is going to be 7, and this value is going to be fail. Okay, so that is the basic difference between scenario and scenario outline. Okay, and again tag could be anything, so here I can write something else. So that's how we write scenarios and scenario outline, and we are going to use these files, these scenario and scenario outlines in our case to execute, to create scenarios, and we are going to use this. Okay, another thing is if we wanted to give direct data in the in any particular step, over here you see it is automate with Amit, so in double quotes directly we can give. If we wanted to give some data in the form of variables, so over here this is the variable, so we are going to use this anchor brackets, and within the anchor brackets whatever headers we have used in the examples over here, you see we can give over there. Okay, so in this feature file, you see right now you see we have only one scenario, right? And let's suppose tomorrow we have multiple scenarios in here where this is scenario 1, this is scenario 2, this is scenario 3, and scenario 4, like that. And few of the steps are always common, so maybe this is the first step which is always common, and we are using the same step in each of the scenarios all together. So what we are doing, we are duplicating the lines, right? So instead of duplicating the lines over here, what we can do, we can use this background keyword. Okay, so what is that background keyword basically? So we can use, okay, so this background keyword, and with that colon, and whatever step we wanted to put in common, we can remove from here. So we can just cut this given line and we can put under this background. Okay, so whenever we are going to execute this particular line, okay, so here I had put this, so now we can remove this whole lines of codes from this place. Okay, so we can remove this, and now whenever we are going to create or execute this scenario, what will happen? First of all, this particular line under background is going to execute, and then whatever written under the scenario is going to get executed. Okay, so that is the way. Again, under background we can write as many duplicate steps as we want, so it is not only that we can write only one scenario, one step. Basically you can write as many as you want, but make sure all the scenario steps which we are writing under this background is going to get executed for each of the scenarios. Okay, so just you need to make sure that whatever background steps you are writing in, those are going to be run before each scenario starts. So that is the background keyword over here. Okay, so this is going to be here, so this is the background keyword, so whatever number of lines we are writing in here is going to get executed before each of the scenarios. Okay, so that is the only thing in feature files. Okay, and in case you have any further questions, tell me in the comment box, and this is the feature files, and in next video I am going to talk about step definitions, where by writing these lines of code is not going to execute our codes, right? So for these, so whatever steps we have written, we need to use step definitions as well. So this is what I have written over here, but what exactly this line means, so how Java or how my Maven or Cucumber is going to translate this, that how it is going to log into that particular website using these values. Okay, so that's how we give step definitions. That's it in this particular video, and if you found this particular video helpful, give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I am going to share more and more advanced and all, of course, useful content related to automation testing. And in case you have any further questions, you can reach out to me in the comment box, and I am going to reply your questions. Thank you. See you in the next one.